Hey, oil is down, I should buy some. This one looks great, right? Wrong. While this oil ETC may look ideal for new investors crazed by the oil crisis, it is in fact a surefire way to lose money. It's time you knew the hidden taxes you're paying on your money. All this and more on today's Income Investors. If you're anything like me, you may have been tempted by the sheer number of foreign stocks you have access to. But are you sure you know what fees you're incurring? In the UK, we have a generous tax allowance on UK stocks, a £12,000 capital gains allowance and a £2,000 dividends allowance per year. This means that you won't have to pay any tax on anything you make that is less than this. And it gets even better if you use an ISA. You won't pay anything on any money you make if it is invested in the UK, barring the 0.5% stamp duty that is mandatory on all UK stocks. The US isn't too bad either. If you filled out a W8 Ben form, something that Trading 212, the brokerage I use, does for you, then you will only pay 15% tax on dividends you receive from the US, and no capital gains. Nice one, that sounds awesome. But it's not the same for many other countries. If you're investing outside of the UK or the US, I am of the mindset that you should be using an ETF. And not just any ETF, an ETF listed on your stock exchange. This way you can bypass the fees that you typically have to pay on individual stocks or ETCs, and that's ideal for our wallets. An example of a UK ETF that tracks foreign markets would be the Vanguard FTSE Emerging Markets ETF. Just imagine the excruciating fees you would have to pay on these kind of stocks. It would be ridiculous. But with this Vanguard ETF, you will get tons of exposure to developing economies while paying little to no taxes for just an ongoing charges fee of 0.22%. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a country or continent that you cannot get exposure to cheaply with an ETF. Europe, Asia, Japan, Africa, Canada, and of course the UK-US markets. There is really no excuse for not having world exposure in your portfolio if you're aiming for diversification. Okay, so let's briefly explain why the aforementioned oil ETC is actually a bad investment. As we can see on the Trading 212 app, this is not the UK listed crude oil, and is in fact the German listed crude oil. Because this is not listed in the UK, you can be taxed even if you've not used your allowance or are investing through an ISA. One way to get around this would be investing on a higher end platform such as Interactive Investor that will grant you access to the UK listed Wisdom Tree ETCs. But my personal favourite way to get around this is by just buying UK and US listed oil companies like Shell, BP, ExxonMobil, etc. It's not quite the same, but it's good enough for me personally as companies pay dividends and I'm holding for the long term. In conclusion, if you want to keep taxes low investing outside the UK or the US, I would personally use an ETF. There are so many to choose from, even on Trading 212, and tons more on higher end platforms. In addition, be wary of stocks, ETFs and ETCs listed on foreign markets. The tax man could be robbing more pennies than you think. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments section. I'll try and answer as quickly as possible. And please consider signing up to Trading 212 using my link in the description if you want to support the channel. You'll get a free share worth up to £100 when you deposit £1 or more into your account. This has been Income Investors. See you next time.